Welcome to the History of Ultimate in Minnesota. In Episode 1, James Huron sits down with Patty King and discusses her Ultimate career that started right here in Minnesota.
Hey everyone, my name is James Huron. I use him, he, his pronouns, and today we'll be talking with Patty King. Patty, why don't you introduce yourself and give a brief overview of your Ultimate career, and then we'll dive into the details.
All right. Thanks, James. My name is Patty King. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I started playing Ultimate in Minnesota in 2003 in high school with Cretin-Derham Hall Raging Safari. And I continued to play throughout college at St. Ben's up in near outside St. Cloud, Minnesota, and played club in Minnesota on various teams, women's, mixed. And I am currently living in Ames, Iowa, playing with a women's team down there called Iowa Wild Rose.
Very cool. So I think we can start at the beginning at Cretin-Derham Hall in high school. When did you start playing Ultimate? What was it like? And why did you start playing Ultimate?
Yeah. I started playing Ultimate my sophomore year of high school, and at that time the high school league was mixed with they had to stick to the gender ratio of 5 men and 2 women. And one of my friends, his name's Paul Borowski, he was playing on the team and said, "You need to come play because I want to keep playing and we need to have 2 women." And so you need to play so that I can keep playing. And he was a good friend of mine and a good friend of our family since I was in kindergarten. So I said, "You throw that weird throw, and the Ultimate that I've seen you guys play, that's all you do. So you need to teach me how to do that." And he said, "No, no, no, you can already run fast, so you just need to come play." And I refused to play until he taught me how to throw a forehand. So that
So,
was when I started playing.
so does that mean that you only had 2 girls on your initial high school team that first year?
We had okay, that first year we had I think we had 4
Okay.
total. But all of us being there at the same time, especially at practice, did not happen very frequently.
Right. And then you said sophomore year, so were you playing or did you play any other sports prior to Ultimate, or I guess during the school
Ye-
year outside of Ultimate?
Yes. Freshman year, I played soccer in the fall, and then I played ice hockey all winter. And hockey was really my true sport growing up. And then growing up, I had always played softball in the spring, but freshman year in the spring was when driver's ed was. So I took driver's ed that spring. And then when it came around to um, spring of sophomore year, I hadn't, joined softball, so I didn't really have any obligations. So that was kind of my start of Ultimate. I had the time to play then.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if you were going to, you're coming into Ultimate after playing, I think you said soccer your freshman year. What were some of the differences that you noticed between a more established sport like soccer and something that was probably pretty new and fresh in your eyes like Ultimate?
Yeah. Not a soccer story, but a hockey
Okay.
story. Um, I remember I had it was a game that I had, and it was um, after one of the first practices I went to, because I started over the winter with Ultimate indoors. And so it was after one of the first practices I went to for Ultimate, and it just kind of started understanding, spirit of the game. And then I had a hockey game. And during the hockey game, there was a girl that was, on her way to go score. And I stopped her in an illegal fashion and, got called for a penalty on it. And I remember my coach saying, that's a good penalty to take. You have to take that one so that they don't score.
Mhm.
And it was just after kind of learning spirit of the game and hearing, that's a good penalty to take. For me, I was like, well, I don't know. Like, I should be able to stop her clean. I don't want that to be a good penalty to take. And that was kind of what ultimate was. You're not ever trying to foul. So
Mhm.
that was kind of the reason why I stuck with it. I was like, no, this is what sports should be like, not taking penalties because it's, part of the game and the nature. I didn't like that as much.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot
I
of
don't know if
sense.
that made sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, that kind of mirrors my experience too in high school. It's just a fresh look at sports, and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So one other question about high school before we move forward in time a little bit. That I don't know if you want to put a year on your first few years in high school, but that was very early high school ultimate in Minnesota, and things have changed a lot from then to now. Do you have any differences that you want to highlight between the high school league then versus what's happening in Minnesota for the high school league now? You'd already mentioned that it was mixed and the ratio is forced at 5-2. What else stands out to you as different?
Um, Sophomore year it was mixed. It was 5-2, and then by my senior year, they'd made the split to single gender, so it was women's or girls and boys, I guess, since
Hmm.
they're high school.
Yep.
And that, I mean, the first year I played, my senior year, when they made the split, there were only 4 women's teams, and now I don't know how many there are. A lot more than that. So I
Right.
think that's probably the biggest difference is just the number of people that are playing, and um I think the quality has gone up so far. Not I think there might be teams now that are making cuts, but I mean, making we didn't we would take any warm body we could get. And I don't
Yeah.
think any team was making any cuts. So
Hmm.
that I think is probably a huge difference from then to now.
Cool. And then one last question on high school. How did your team do when you were in high school?
Uh, Sophomore year, we lost at state in the semifinals, possibly. I
Okay.
don't remember for sure. We lost to South. I do
Okay.
remember that. I don't know what part of the bracket it was. And then my junior year, we beat Armstrong in the final, which was played up at St. Ben St. John's in the football stadium. I remember that very well. It was extremely hot out, and so many people were cramping. It was crazy. Um, we were lucky because Rita Morvik,
Hmm.
um, she was like doing athletic training. Like that was like her major in college. And I think she was still in college or just graduated college, but she was literally like taping and rubbing out people in between points so that they'd stop cramping, and then they go in and play. And after one point they come out and have to get like rubbed down again. And it was
Oh
just,
my gosh.
I remember the turf being so hot and like there's no shade out there. So
Hmm.
like there was like I don't know, we were all like sitting under this overhang. I remember my feet just being on fire. So that was a really fun one.
Yeah. Well,
And oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
that's a cool venue at least. I mean, in high school, getting to play in a big stadium like that.
Yeah, yep, that was awesome. And then senior year, um, we beat Hopkins. I think it was a Hopkins Edina Eden Prairie combination school.
Okay.
They were Hopkins hurt, but I think they had gals from other schools too. We beat them in the finals as well, also at St. John's in the stadium, but a very different very rainy day.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
like a fun high school career. Certainly more ultimate than I got when I was in high school in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But then you went to
Oh,
St.
wait, I have
Yeah,
another, hold
go
on,
for it.
sorry, one more high school
Absolutely.
thing that was completely different.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember when I think it was only my sophomore year that they came. Um, Canadian teams came to, a Winnipeg team was at our state tournament
Oh,
in
cool.
my sophomore year, which was played out at like in, what are those fields called? It was in Egan, but the Canadian kids came and I remember, what's her, St. John's Ravens Court. It's where Hold Back the Snow is. I think they still go to that tournament. Um, but they would come down and play at our state tournament and they'd always ask for people to like host a couple of them at their house. So that was, I, that was cool. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is cool. Canadians coming down for the Minnesota State Tournament. Nice.
Yeah, yep. I mean, because I think they only, I think St. John's was that St. John's Ravens Court was one of the only schools up there that, or close enough school that had a team, I think.
Hmm.
And they would host, when we would go to Hold Back the Snow, they would host us and then they'd come down for a stay. I don't know how that relationship happened with them, but
Wow,
yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay, so we can move forward in time then to St. Ben's. So you graduate from college or from high school, excuse me, and then you head over to St. Ben's in college. Is Ultimate something you sought out yourself? Did you know people on the team already, or were you recruited in some fashion? What was that first year kind of like?
Um, my first true sport being hockey, I wanted to go someplace that I could play hockey, and I'm not good enough to play D1 anywhere. So I was looking at D3 schools. I knew I wanted to be close to home, um, and was pretty torn between St. Ben's and St. Olaf, and actually very much wanted to go to St. Olaf. And senior year of high school, even played a tournament with them because I wanted to meet people on their ultimate team, knowing that ultimate was also something that I wanted to do. So was pretty convinced I was going to go to St. Olaf and then decided on St. Ben's for financial reasons. So they gave me some more academic scholarship money. So
Nice.
decided on St. Ben's. My mom went to St. Ben's, so she was excited about that.
I'm
And
sure.
then there were some folks, because I had been playing on Flaming Moe, there were some folks there that were at St. Ben's, St. John's, so they were pulling me to go that way too.
Okay. So let's
But
pause.
a lot of contributing factors.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's pause the St. Ben's just for a second. You were playing on Flaming Moe. Did you start playing for that team when you were in high school?
Yeah, I started 2004, which would have been my between junior and senior year. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, so you would, and Flaming Moe, for the people that don't know, was a high-level team that ended up going to nationals. I mean, that's correct, right, Patty? I'm not mistaking that
That
for
is
the.
that's correct.
So you were already playing pretty high-level Ultimate prior to going into college, then?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to.
Interesting. Cool. Okay, so you played high school. You played at least a season with Flaming Moe. Then you go to college, looking at trying to get on the hockey team, and you end up getting pulled towards the ultimate team. What was the team like at St. Ben's? Was it well established with many, many years? Was it early, or was it just starting?
They had definitely had a team. I didn't have to start a team. They had a team that was established. I have no idea when that team was founded. I feel bad for not knowing that. I have no clue when it was founded, but I mean, they already had, cheers set in stone that I learned, and um, they were they were definitely there. Similar to high school, they would take anyone that wanted to play. There was, as a club sport at a small school, the commitment level was all over the place. So at the beginning, you'd have quite a few people at practice, and then the amount that stick around during the season would vary. And honestly, coming in as a freshman with experience, knowing some of the upperclassmen from playing club, I don't think I helped with that at all. I think I came in as a kind of I'm too good for this attitude. So I'm not proud of that.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling kind of disheartened, thinking going from high school to college and having played club, like, oh, we're going to get into some strategy stuff. And I was excited because it was women's instead of mixed, where, we could do some of this. And then it was a lot of the same things as high school was, where, you're teaching how to do throws again. So I remember being kind of upset, like, oh, I thought that I was going to keep going uphill, and really now I have to go back down to go up. And it really became a second or even third priority to me. Ultimate did at that time.
Hmm.
So much so that I chose to run track in the spring instead of play ultimate
Wow.
after my freshman year. So my sophomore year, I ran track.
Gotcha. And so you didn't do ultimate because you did track instead?
I would go to tournaments on the weekends that we didn't have track meets,
I see. Okay.
which my track coach was not pleased by. And
Right.
of course the ultimate people were not pleased that I was running track.
Hmm.
So
Okay. So
yeah.
you moved through St. Ben's, kind of half there your sophomore year. Did you, because you came in with experience, so did you end up like becoming a captain or doing any leadership stuff kind of near the end of your St. Ben's, your time at St. Ben's?
No, because I ran track sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Okay, all of them.
So yeah, that that a varsity sport came before ultimate.
Hmm.
So I did not have any captain or leader or formal leadership roles, but at tournaments that I went to, I think I was looked to for advice, and um, they graciously accepted it despite me being mostly absent.
Hmm. So with you, you said that ultimate is took a kind of a third level priority for you. Were you still like doing club in the summer or things like that?
Yep, I was still playing with Flaming Mo. Let's see, Flaming Mo in 05, 06, 07. Yep, and then started with Pop in 2008.
Okay. And that would have, oh, now I'm trying to do math in my head. Would that have coincided with your the end of your time at St. Ben's?
I graduated from St. Ben's in 09.
Okay. So
So yes.
gotcha.
So that would have been the last summer before I graduated. Summer between junior and senior year.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
Yeah, sure. So so
Math is
let's
hard.
yeah, it is, especially when you're thinking back that far. Let's think about or talk about pop then, because you played mixed in high school initially, and then the numbers were high enough where you were able to play. It would have been high school girls. Then you went to college to play women's, but you were playing mixed in club. So pop would have been your first women's club experience, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How did that differ from a team like Flaming Mo or your women's or girls' experience in college and high school?
The biggest difference that I like starkly remember going from club mixed to club women's was the volume at practice. Women are quiet. I was like, how am I the loudest person on the field right now? Like even doing drills and things, I was like, no one's talking. Why is no one talking? Are people mad at me? Like I just remember it being so quiet at the first women's things. And I don't, yeah, that's like the very biggest difference I remember, is that it was so quiet. And then the next thing, the other biggest, as far as like playing goes and my game goes, your cuts are just very different.
Hmm.
I remember like taking what I thought was a normal deep cut and then talking to the handler because I was like, I'm open. And it was like, you're out of my range. And that had never happened to me in mixed because I don't think I could have outrun Paul Norgard. So yeah. So that was as far as like playing goes, I remember being like, oh, my cut needs to be my start and end point needs to be very different than I'm used to.
Mhm.
Yes.
Cool. So
But
how
yeah, the volume is the women's practices, they're quiet.
so how long did you play with Pop for?
08, 09, and 2010. So those 3 years.
Okay, so 3 years out of college, I guess, or 2 years out of college, first year during college, around there.
Yes. Yeah, that was actually why I didn't play in 2011 was because I had just got like my first job out of college. It turns out graduating in 2009 is like awful because the economy is terrible and no one was hiring anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I had kind of a year of doing odd jobs, and actually I nannied for Robin Coonsey, who was on Pop. Yeah, I mean, she pretty much funded my year that year through me taking care of her kids. And the Boardman kids too. Dave, do you know Dave Boardman?
I don't know if I know Dave Boardman.
He plays on Surly. He played on Sub in the past. And his wife Rosie, she played on Bait, I think.
Gotcha. I definitely know of him. I don't know if I've ever met him.
Yeah. Yep. So they have 2 boys, and then, well, at that time Robin only had Zoe, had 1 kid. Now she's got 2. But so I'd watch those 3 kids during the day and then play frisbee with their parents at night. But then when I got my like first real career job out of college, that was in 2011, and when I moved to South Dakota. So that was why I didn't play. I didn't play club. I played with Wolfpack that year.
Okay.
So that I was still playing, but not practicing, not doing anything competitive, so to speak.
I see. Cool. So then you have a few years with Pop, and then what happened after that?
Well, then I was in South Dakota, so I had the year with Wolfpack
Mm-hmm.
just to play, and then my job moved me back to the Twin Cities in 2012, or for what would have been that 2012 season. I think it was actually late 2011, like after winter 2011. Um, so I was back in Minnesota and was just trying to, figure out what I wanted to do because after that 2007 season, that was the last season of Flaming Moe, so it wasn't like I was going to be coming back to a Flaming Moe, and I don't remember what was going on with Pop at that time when I came back, but um, I remember 2012 getting a lot of attention. I think I had lots of drinks and happy hours with people saying, "Hey, come be on my team." And I'm like, "Are you kidding? I haven't like played Real Ultimate in a year." And I think that was like the most out of shape I've ever been in my entire life. We were talking before about push-ups. There's no push-ups happening.
Right.
Definitely the highest I've seen the scale in my entire life that year. So, but uh, Schwa was captaining, I believe Schwa was captaining Dragon in 2012, and Schwa played on Flaming Moe. I went to St. Ben's. He had went to St. John's. I kind of looked for him for frisbee advice for a long time, and eventually he convinced me that Dragon Thrust was where I should be. So
Cool.
that was what I decided to do.
Yeah. So you played a few years on women's teams, and then you took a year off. Was it odd coming back to mixed, or did you feel like you fit right in back, similar to when you were playing with Flaming Moe? And then were there any changes between the time periods or the teams that you noticed?
Um, I actually felt like it was pretty seamless transition, to be honest. Maybe people on the 2012 team will say otherwise, but um, I mean, at that point, Dragon was running a similar offense to what Flaming Mo had run. I don't know the exact number of Flaming Mo people that were on the 2012 Dragon roster, but it was a good chunk. And even some that weren't on the Flaming, that I had played with on Flaming Mo, I think I had played with or, at some point in time. So I knew their style, kind of what they were doing. I felt like I melded into the 2012 Dragon team, not as, at a level above what a typical rookie would come in as. Um, I feel like that sounds really cocky. So I don't want to say that,
No,
but
I think it's totally valid. That's how you felt coming in. I think that's more than reasonable.
yeah, definitely different. Like on Flaming Mo, there were, like oh, we want to beat this team here, we want to beat that team. So the competition had definitely changed from from when I had played previously. But overall, I felt like a lot of what Minnesota and Dragon was doing was similar to what Flaming Mo had done before.
Okay,
So
cool. And so, how long did you play on Dragon Thrust for?
2012 to 2016.
Okay, so a few more years.
hmm I was kind of a 4-year. So it was 4 years of mixed, 3 years of pop, and 1 year of Wolfpack, which was women. So 4 years of women's, 4 years of mixed.
Yeah, and then it
I
was
did-
time to move on after those 4 years, huh?
Then we moved to Iowa.
Right, that's true.
So yeah.
Okay, so you moved to Iowa in 2016, and what's next for Ultimate for you?
Um, I wanted to retire. We actually moved in 2017 to Iowa. It was
Okay.
March of 2017. So we got there kind of, as most ultimate things said, everyone kind of knew where they were going. Some tryouts were still going on, but everyone kind of knew where they were going. And I was pretty set on being done with competitive ultimate. And luckily I was turning 30 in May, so I was master's eligible.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I'm going to play masters, and at that time the only choice was to play women's. So I said I'm gonna play masters with the Cougars, and that's gonna be my ultimate fix. So, oh, here's a fun fact about 2017.
Okay.
So Sarah, my wife,
Mm-hmm.
for I guess since we're recording,
Mm-hmm.
um, she had only played competitive mixed at that point, I think, and she wanted to play competitive women's, so she really wanted to go to heist tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went over to Madison, and I was like, well, I'm not going to just travel with you over to Madison and not play.
Right.
So I did attend a heist tryout that season, and did get offered a spot, but I turned it down
Wow.
because I had told myself I was done with Ultimate.
That is a fun fact. I did not know that.
Yeah, I don't think many people do. Yeah, I had a lot of Achilles issues, and I didn't it with Dragon, we would practice on Wednesdays and Sundays or have a tournament that weekend, and I felt like I was using the whole time in between either a tournament or practice to recover to be able to run again. And that's not how you want to it's not a good way to train. It was unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, COVID has been great for the Achilles and building
I'm
muscle
sure it
and
has.
not wearing cleats all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure your Achilles feels great right now.
It does. 2021 Patty King comeback. No, definitely not.
You heard it here first.
Uh,
So you turned down your heist position, but you're still playing Cougars.
yes.
How long do you stick with the Cougars, and like is that still going on?
Yeah. Okay, so 2017, we actually won nationals that year.
Yeah.
And so we knew that we had qualified to go to Masters Worlds, which was in 2018.
And what was the
And
exotic location for that one?
Canada,
Okay, yeah,
very
that's right.
exotic
Yep.
in Winnipeg, Canada. um, so kind of in a what I feel was almost a selfish move. I said I don't, playing at nationals, I hadn't really played ultimate that, the leading up to that. I had worked out a little bit, but like going to Masters regionals in 2017, I don't remember when I had thrown a frisbee before then. Like I wasn't training for ultimate, I wasn't working out, but going to Worlds in 2018, I really wanted to be in, good ultimate shape at Worlds
Hmm.
and decided, and that was when we decided to start Wild Rose, and it was kind of a selfish decision basically for me to get reps in before Worlds.
Hmm.
Um, so that was the beginning of Wild Rose and basically training for Masters Worlds. Um, and so played Masters Worlds and played with Shirley Cougars in 2018. And then our showing was not as great as I wanted it to be
Hmm.
at Masters Worlds, and with new people turning 30 every year, and a lot of them coming from pop and having played mixed leading up to Masters. It was very hard being from Iowa and not getting to practice with them or getting any chemistry with them. So then in 2019, when they formed, I think that was when they formed the Mixed Masters
I think so too.
division, or maybe the year
Yeah.
before. I'm not
I
sure.
think it was the year before, and then more teams joined in 2019, right?
Yeah. So then that was when Dragon Rust decided to have a team, and I felt like I would be, being that I'm an out of town player, I felt like I'd be a better fit for that team, having a lot more playing experience with those people. So just on the Cougars for 2 years, which I think was your original question.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so you're with the Cougars. Then you go to Dragon Rust, and then 2020 is a complete wash due to COVID. And what are your
Yep.
future plans? Do you have any aspirations for 2021 with the assumption that there may be some sort of competitive ultimate happening in 2021?
No. I the starting the Iowa Wild Rose team, like I said, I kind of started it for selfish reasons to just get some playing and reps in, and it ended up being a ton of fun, and there was a ton of interest in it.
Hmm.
Um, and so I would like to see that team continue, and so I'll do what I can to make that happen. If that means playing, I'll probably play another season with them, but it might be more of a organizational type role, getting them off the ground so that they can run by themselves. I haven't really thought about Masters yet.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
probably continue with Dragon Rust because I mean right now it ends up being some of the only time I get to see Dragon's Rust people in Minnesota. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, well,
I haven't thought about it that
yeah,
hard.
it's a little early to be thinking about competitive ultimate. We're recording this in December of 2020, so we're not sure what's going to happen in the coming months by the time anybody hears this. But I was just curious if you had thought of that.
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Wow. So we covered pretty much your entire Ultimate career as far as a player goes. We haven't really talked about coaching or other Ultimate related or Ultimate adjacent positions you've held. Have you coached any teams, or have you done like any volunteering or anything like that?
Yeah, I started coaching in 2012 when I moved back up to Minnesota and started coaching at Cretin-Derham Hall where I went to high school. And that was a pretty easy pickup for me. My mom works at CDH, so had the in there. They needed a coach at that time, so started coaching the women's team there and did that for 4 years, I think. 2016, that 2015 or 2016, I think.
Hmm.
4 years. I think it was 4 years. It might have been the start of 5, but so coached 4 years there, and then in 2014 and 15, I helped out with the YCC mixed team. I don't know that. Maybe 2016 too.
Okay.
I don't remember for sure. um, but I remember 2014 very well because I was at every single practice and was so excited for those kids. And then the YCC tournament was the same weekend or the same week as Worlds
Oh no.
in Italy. So I was really, because that was my first year coaching or helping. I was assistant coach every year. That was my first time helping out, and I was really excited for it. And then um, didn't get to, didn't even actually get to be there for that tournament.
Yeah,
But
that is a bummer. Oh
yeah.
darn, you had to go to Italy and
Oh,
win a world
I rem-
championship.
I remember sending an email from Italy on our crappy Wi-Fi and being like, I hope this sends, and being like, I'm thinking about you guys. um, so I know it was 2014 was when I started,
Hmm.
but in 2015, I can't remember if 2016 is in there or not. And then when I moved to Iowa, um, the summer of 2017, I coached they had an open YCC team that they sent. So I coached that team. And then in the fall, started coaching the women's team at Iowa State, women's scorned.
Cool.
And currently doing that.
Wow. You're still doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. They've been doing some stuff during COVID. They have, it's kind of funny. They have like a 5-week fiasco thing going where they get points for doing certain things. And some of them are, athletically related, but it's like run a mile, but then some of them are just like go on a walk and find animal tracks and bake a Christmas treat and an ultimate themed Christmas treat and stuff like that. So I've gotten some Snapchats of some like gingerbread people catching frisbees, which is pretty cute.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of
So
fun.
yeah, so they're still trying to stay in touch and do some stuff virtually. We were able to meet in person with some COVID socially distanced guidelines over the fall, and not sure what spring semester will bring. But yeah, trying to still keep everyone engaged there.
Hmm. Cool. Well, we're going to
Yeah.
wrap up here. I basically have two more questions left. The first is you've been a player and a coach for almost, well, a player for 2 decades and a coach for
Oh God, I'm old.
one almost. Did you say God, I'm old?
Yeah.
So you have been playing Ultimate in and around Minnesota for quite a long time. What is one big change that kind of sticks out to you over the 2+ decades of Ultimate experience you have?
Um, just in general or
I guess I shouldn't
anything?
say big change. What is a change? It could be a big change, something specific.
Um, I don't know if this was like an actual change that happened or just something that kind of happened over time. Um, but I remember when I first started playing, I Flaming Mo would practice on Wednesdays, and then pretty much everyone on Flaming Mo would also be playing Summer League on Tuesdays or Thursdays or both days,
Hmm.
or I think at that point there was a men's league too. So some of the guys would only play one Tuesday or Thursday, but then play in the men's league. And coming back in, I don't know if it was when I came back in 2012, that just kind of wasn't a thing anymore where a lot of club players or any club players were playing summer league, um, which I think that's kind of a change I've noticed. Again, over time, I don't think it was any one big change, but
Hmm.
um, that that's definitely happened. I mean, just this, and then just the sheer volume of people and the talent of people that are playing is so much better than when I first started playing.
Hmm.
I remember it must have been the 2015 YCC team.
Hmm.
Um, I was coaching that with John Gross and a few others, and John also played in high school, as you know. And I remember looking at him and saying, like, if if I like high school Patty, I don't know if high school Patty would have made this team. Like looking at the women that were on the team, I was
Yeah.
like high school me, I don't know if I would have made that team. And I remember John saying, no, he was like, yeah, there's no way I would have made this team. So, I mean, just they're they're so much better than we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably the biggest change. And then, I mean, organizationally, everything is just way more organized and better. I like the stats that are being taken and the scores that are being put in. I mean, I remember, yeah, just the organization. When I was in high school, it was like, oh, do we have enough people that we can all jump in a car and drive to a game?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right, let's
That
go.
sounds familiar.
Like, yeah. So, um, I mean, yeah, organizationally, it's gotten a lot better, I feel like, too, or I'm more aware of it. Maybe that's just the difference now, but
Hmm. All right. Well, that brings us to the last question. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here. Is there anyone that you want to like thank or give a shout out to that you've interacted with or experienced or been interacted with throughout your ultimate career?
oh my gosh, I could go on for a very long time. Uh, well, oh my gosh, I feel bad. I know I'm going to leave people out of this, so anyone that's ever been a teammate or a coach of mine, you are number one on the list. Um, but definitely Paul Borowski, because he was the one that taught me how to play and how to throw and dragged me to practice. Um, and John Gross too, was he and Paul were buddies. So, um, and then all the coaches that I had in high school, which Anna Hagstrom, Kevin Flynn, Wade Morvick, uh, GB, um, all of those people, John Sandel, Trish York, um, and then definitely the older people on Flaming Mo when I first started did a very good job looking out for me. And again, some of those were coaches of mine as well, but um, there's too many of those to list, but
Hmm.
Clink included in there.
Yep.
Um, I mean, yeah, everyone else that I've played with,
Yeah.
they've been huge. As far as the people that I've coached, I'm gonna have to shout out Anna Erickson, because I've had the pleasure of coaching her at CDH, and now she's currently at Iowa State.
Okay.
So she's had to deal with me for like 8 years now, but every time she does something that I know I've taught her, I get pretty excited about it still.
Hmm.
So she keeps me going. I I'm going to stop listing
Yeah.
people, even though I could list a lot
Oh,
of
I'm sure.
people.
I did say I was going to put you on the spot, so I apologize for that. All right. Well, that was a ton of information, Patty. Thank you so much for sitting down and taking the time to answer some questions here. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. The History of Ultimate in Minnesota is a project run by volunteers, hoping to spotlight amazing stories about Ultimate in Minnesota. If you are interested in helping out, please visit minnesotaultimate.org or discdish.org. A special thanks for this episode goes out to Patty King, Minnesota Ultimate, and discdish.org. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time for more History of Ultimate in Minnesota.